Hey friends, so I'm determined to complete this message today because apparently there's a lesson to be learned. I think I figured it out. So a friend of mine on Facebook was um, talking about voices in your head and who is it? Where does it come from? Is it a good place? Is it a bad place? What is it? And then he went on to create a discussion in the group that I have about the four influences. And there's your gut, your heart, your voice, and your mind. So, of which, if three agree, then how's it going? If the three agree, obviously it's inevitable that, you're following something of truth. And if one doesn't correlate with the other three, my key is never working. There we go. So what I'm trying to say is I like pressing record and having my day because I really have been trying to show people that I'm an authentic person. I have a normal life somewhat. But when you adhere to the call, rather, no matter what place it comes from, no matter what faith it comes from, there's a greater truth and everyone is being led in some way. The thing about it is we all just have to figure out how. Sorry, I'm adjusting myself. There we go. How do we all work together in this so-called community, and how do we share this gift of awareness and consciousness if we cannot get along? So I tried not to say much about the confrontation I had with some dude. And what's fascinating is before I had my replies to him, I actually went to his page and saw, or his channel, and I looked at his videos and I did a little study about him. He has a nice heart, a pure heart. At the same token, though, he didn't do the same for me. And I get what's funny is he criticized me of being of a falsehood, and that I'm part of the falsehoods out there. And so my thought process is, well, how can I be a falsehood if I'm just here sharing my personal experience with everybody? I'm not here to teach people, and I'm not here to make guesses about the future and where all this is going. That's not my intention. And if that's what I have portrayed on accident, then I sincerely apologize to the people who follow me. But I know what I say comes from a divine place. I've never, ever, ever doubted that. And I will never, ever regret anything that I say or do. My journey is mine alone, but then there's people who relate. But if we cannot be a brotherhood and work together, at least if I'm incorrect about something, at least have the audacity to share with me, or learn me what there is to know. There I am. Thank you, camera. I'm in this journey. I don't know everything, and it's crazy that there are people out there who walk with their head up as if they know everything, and what they're doing is they're attacking their own community. And that to me is a falsehood. Like, who are you to say like I'm the keeper of all information, but then I looked at the guy's videos of what he said and mentioned, and I looked at the dates and times that I've mentioned my things, and mine's surpassed the dates and times that he said everything. A lot of things that I say really happen weeks, months, maybe a year later. But I don't. What I don't do is gather my information from people, and then I repeat what those people have said and mentioned in there, even if it's like N5D or WordPress, WikiLeaks or whatnot. What's the other one? Everyone, QAnon. I don't base my focus on the current. I base my focus on my gut, and I go off of my intentions, my instincts, what does my heart say, and I use my voice box, which is my gift, to share that with people. So if people want to criticize me, go right for it, but I will not appreciate someone creating the frequency and vibration of chastisement and punishing me and criticizing me in public, because what happens is it invites other people to harp on that person. So yet again, I had to remove another video because of the disbelief. And this is what I appreciate about Jeffrey Daltrey. What he said in the video was delusion and deception are always people always confuse one for the other. It's like when you know that someone is deceiving themselves, they think you're the delusional one. They think that what you're saying is a delusion. Or they say, hey, you are diluted. Like you have all this like fake. But then it's like, what makes you think that I'm being fake, or that I'm not using valuable information or speaking from a truth resource? You know, what makes you think that you're right and I'm wrong? Why can't both sides be correct? Why can't you meet me at my side? You know, and there are people that I look up to on this YouTube platform, and those people have been very respectful to me. They don't say, oh, you're wrong. What they do is they'll like my comment, right? And if there's something that's out of the ordinary, guess what? They will comment. They'll say, interesting. So I always know that before I say something, I do think 1,000 times before I say it. Or like right now, I press record and start talking. But my mind, my consciousness knows how to speak in front of an audience. I know how to choose my audience. And people also forget too, like, I have a corporate job and I have a public figure, you know, credibility. So I'm putting myself out there, and I always have to be, proper and eloquent with what I'm saying. And that's the funny part, is like, I don't know what, it's just funny how it could be wordings. Like if someone, let's say for example the Bible, because that's the main topic we all talk about, right? If someone is speaking from a spiritual base or faith-based experience, but they don't mention the Bible, why is it that you have a community of people that will harp on that person's back and beat them to a pulp verbally, criticize them, rip them down like they're a piece of worth, all because they did not want to say something that will cause feathers to get ruffled? Because anytime you mention something in that vortex, I call it the abyss of religion, you're asking for it. And also in the ascension, the event, the new, I don't like to say new age, because I'm starting to see a lot of truth in the ascension process. And Schmo, who like ripped me apart in my last video, it's fascinating because everything that I was revealing in my last video, that was all he was discovering. Like if you came across my video, you were on a path to find something. And I've learned that is my journey to person, can you have to be all up in my window? I'm trying to speak to the camera and there's a person to my right who's like, what are you talking about? Sorry, I'm irritated today. I guess it's just because it's 9/11 and there's so much confusion in the air. And I even posted a video on Facebook today about whichever side of the story you know about 9/11, whichever you follow. Always understand what is deception and delusion. And sure enough, a good friend of mine comes out the woodwork and says, the biggest, what did he say? He was saying something like the devil's biggest, I forget. He was just saying, and the devil convinced the world that he didn't exist. And it's like, it was funny because I'm like, wow, are you trying to convince me that I'm something that you don't want to say that I am, and I'm trying to convince people that harm is on purpose? It's quite fascinating that people that don't understand that they have been in a delusion for a long time, that there are people here who are going through experiences in their life to set them free. And it's not like people are doing the setting free on purpose. It's just that when you have something lingering in your heart and you have something bubbling your gut, you don't have an option but to release that. And that relieves the burdens of others. So yes, there is a burden freeing that is going on right now. And that is the last stage of the ascension process. And I'm saying this, and I haven't watched a video about the ascension. I've seen the light codes and dreams. I've seen all of that, but people don't want to believe the light codes. Oh well. But it was fascinating because the last video where on YouTube where I had a confrontation with somebody, all I did was show my hand. And if you guys look at your hand, our bodies have crystalline. It does. It is what it is. Or if you want to relate it to the gospel of Adam, when, breath was blown into dust and dust became a man, if that's how you want to say it, or man was made from clay. Well, guess what? When you go to a riverbed, or you go to a lake, or you go to the ocean, the sand at the beach, you grab that sand and you look at the particles and the minerals in that sand. Guess what? There's crystal in there too. I'm not a stupid person. So before you want to criticize me and say, oh, our bodies are not going to turn into full light and ascend out of, duh. I'm not coming from that perspective, but I didn't say one single word in that video. I just showed my hand. And that proves to you that I'm an empath, because it brought the most disgusting side of somebody that I have witnessed. And that was self-reflection of somebody else. And I encounter that at least 2 to 3 times a day. Can you guys imagine, like, you're trying to go on a date with someone and be regular, and because you have a gift of empathy, you're pulling everything that person doesn't want to talk about out of their body. And my poor neighbor who lives next to me, she's been going through the worst situations. She's coming home crying. She's hysterical. She's having these horrible afflictions and really going through the ringer. And it's like, it's not that I'm causing this, but it's the fact that I understand my gift of empathy. And this is the same as what Jesus had as well. People were crying out to him. They're crying out for a savior. And, I'm not the savior for you. I don't want to consider myself a savior, but I do have the tools and the mindfulness of how to center your journey, your experience, your outlook. How to position yourself in this crazy matrix that we're in. Now, if you understand everything I said so far, bravo, yay, you're my people. But if you're not my people, then I don't need you on my comments criticizing me. You know, that's just not how it goes. And giving judgment to someone who has been working on not walking with judgment, it is putting judgment back on yourself. So if you're going through trials and burdens right now, look at what you're saying to other people. Look at your ego. And that was another topic that came up today too, was a lot of people on my Facebook, they always criticize me of having an ego. But my job that I do and provide for people 7 days a week, believe it or not, that's why I'm always driving, I'm always in the car. Have you guys ever spent time with someone who's been diagnosed with all sorts of cancer? Someone who had dementia, someone who has Alzheimer's, losing people because they're aging. People are going to my service because they need a time out from the crazy world that we live in. Sorry for the shaking. So the roads of LA. Anyways, I see a lot of stuff on a daily basis. And to say that I have an ego really is to protect us. I really don't think sometimes the ego is a bad thing. If I've been sensitive my whole life and been a peon, 50% of my adulthood, been bullied, 90% of my childhood, faced, physical abuse as a child by, a step parent, I've never had a break. So the ego really had to protect me so that I know how to be in my spiritual path right now, in my, fulfillment of this destiny that we're almost at a conclusion of time right now. We're almost wrapping up what we're here to do before the next new chapter begins, and we don't know what that is. So if you want to have something to say, at least learn who I am, walk in my shoes, or extend a hand and say, hey brother, I think there's a little confusion on this part. I would love to help you out with that. Let's collaborate and help each other understand what that means. So before you throw the next stone, how about you extend open arms and extend some love for somebody? How about you forgive what they don't know, they don't understand, before you want to rip them apart and leave them to the wolves? That's not how this truth community works. That's not how the spiritual community works. And that's not how benevolence works. I've seen supernatural events where, like even 2 weeks ago, there was a child that rode their bike in the middle of a freeway. We don't know how this 3-year-old managed to get their little play toy bicycle, tricycle onto a highway. And you saw a benevolent presence interrupt that whole move. Almost like every car went to a cease, like as if you were to stop time in front of this child, and this child was able to quickly be ushered off. I wish I could find that video. I'm gonna try to find that video and post it in the description below. Give me like a couple hours. But you see people break the rules because it's all about love. And you see people like myself who had a full, system of a religion that he trusted and believed and walked wholehearted with. And I just said, you know what? I pumped the brakes right now on it because there's a bigger picture and there's a bigger calling right now. And the vocabulary is still the same. The experience is still the same. I just choose not to bond myself to a system because I was not born into it. We were born into a system in America, but spiritually and, all that, we're free. Free to do what we want. And we shouldn't have to condemn ourselves over the choices we make, especially when the choices are sharing people about new things. Anyways, I'll leave you guys. Thank you so much for your support. If you're still following my channel, I'm a tough cookie, but I like to show people that this is an experience, and I am one out of millions of people who are going through this, but I choose to break my silence about it. And if I sound crazy, then oh well, so what? Help me help us move forward.